Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Adoptions from the Heart TV. I'm your host, Amanda Aliberti. Today, we have Adam and Evie, who adopted their child through our agency and are going to share with us a little bit about their journey. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Can you start with when you first started having conversations about adoption and building your family and kind of what led you to call Adoptions from the Heart?
I mean, even when we first started talking about having kids, we had said like, well, if we couldn't have kids biologically, like what would we do? And we thought, oh, I think adoption would be a great avenue for us to expand our family. So that started.
I mean, before we were married, I think we talked about that just as as an option, and you never know until you know, right? So when we weren't able to have a child biologically, and we actually we went to an IVF meeting just to see, and I think we both had the understanding that even when we set foot in the door, we were like, this is probably not going to be what we're going to do. Yeah. But we really wanted to close that door before we fully invested in an adoption process and starting that journey. And we were so glad we did it just to know. But yeah, we had never looked at adoption as a last result or like as a last resort.
Just another avenue.
And I knew adopted people who had been adopted when I was growing up, and just was a part of my life. So it seemed like a natural journey for us.
And as far as finding Adoptions from the Heart, we wanted an agency that really cared about openness between the adoptive family and the birth family, and really cared about the birth parents. And that's sort of what led us there. And then when we met Taylor, our social worker, everything just clicked. We were like, oh, this is the place for us. And just kind of went from there.
Can you touch on that a little bit more? Because I think when people are initially thinking about building their family, the focus is on child, right? And becoming parents and all the good things that may come about with that. And I think the idea of birth parents placing children for adoption, supportive services doesn't really come into play necessarily for all folks. So talk to us about why it was important that you chose an agency that supported birth parents.
I mean, birth parents are giving you this incredible gift, and your connection to them is really lifelong.
Yeah, lifelong.
It's not a transaction. It's not like, oh, well, here is this child,
and now we're done.
And now, right? It's this relationship that you're founding with these birth parents, and we're on that journey together. It doesn't start or stop. It's continuous. It's always evolving and always developing. And we were so fortunate and are still fortunate that our birth parents are wanting openness, and that was something that was really important to us. And we just lucked out that they found us, and that's the other thing. Birth parents choose you. They are selecting you specifically. Like, that's a really big deal, saying these are the people that I want to place my child with.
Well, and we know that one day our daughter, Electra, she is going to want to know more. I mean, we're always sharing right now, right? We're in this process, but even before we start our adoption journey, we knew that one day, if we adopted a child, they were going to always have questions. And the reason we wanted to go with an open adoption or a more open adoption, if we could, and be all in on that, is because we knew there's no way to get out of that. You either do it now or you do it later. You invest now or you scramble later. So invest now, right? So we were all in from the first moment. And it's tricky because we might be all in, But that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, an expectant parent or a birth parent who we'd be matched with, who knows what they want, right? So yes, what Adam was saying, we're so fortunate that Electra's birth parents were all in with us, and they wanted the openness that we wanted. But we know it doesn't go that way for everyone, and that's tricky. But for us, we knew we had to invest being all in. We had to do whatever it took, right? And we're fortunate that it's worked out. We know that we know it's more rare to have what we have at the moment.
Yeah. And as far as investment goes, Adoptions from the Heart is so invested in birth parents. The care does not end with child placement. You know, the agency is always there to support these birth parents far beyond the actual placement. And that really matters, because these people are part of our life now. And we want to make sure that they are cared for and that they have the resources that they need. And, you know, it's ups and downs. You know, it's once you, and I can only speak from the perspective of our birth parents. I know they have good days and I know they have hard days, you know, where they know that they made a decision that they feel great about, but it's still hard, right? Yeah. This is a child that our birth mother carried for an entire term and then said, I'm choosing you to care for this child. And like, that's the most selfless decision you could ever make. And so from our perspective, you know, we want an organization that's going to support them and is going to foster that decision.
And I think specifically too, having the long-term support. As you mentioned, it's not a business transaction of just here's baby, family takes child, and then that's it.
Right.
Even beyond just the scope of open adoption, because I would say many adoption agencies today are open, right? It's kind of hard to find more of a closed adoption agency just because of the major benefits of having that openness. But it's also important to make sure that you are connected with a group that provides and invests in the long-term support of birth parents. Because helping and supporting and guiding and being there for a birth parent, you know, 2, 5, 10 years later, helps also with their ability to still maintain openness with the child and with that family, because they're going to have their ups and their downs just like we all do. And I think part of what we try to educate our families on is that it's not going to always be consistent openness. It may not be this perfect thing of 2 visits per year that you get to see them. There may be moments in your birth parents' lives that they're going through stuff, whether it's, you know, having other children or maybe struggling with some mental health concerns or whatever, and they may take a pause and take a step back from the open relationship. And then they engage more and they call you up and say, okay, I want to have visits. I want to attend the annual agency picnic. And that's okay. That's part of the commitment that you're signing up for when you choose open adoption. And it's okay for your birth parents to kind of come and go, even though that may be hard on you as a parent to parent a child through that. That's part of the promise that you're making, is to be there regardless. Talk to us about the relationship you have with the birth parents to your daughter and what that means for you and what your hopes are for the future.
Oh my gosh, our relationship with them is wonderful. Yeah. We feel so fortunate. Don't get me wrong, we really do. From the moment we met them, we had this, it was wild how we matched. Also, to anyone watching, our birth mom, Electra's birth mom, found us online, so it happens. But yeah, from the moment we met Electra's birth parents in person, before she was born, we just had this wonderful feeling, wonderful time. It was so strange. Strange because we didn't know it was going to be like that. And Electra's birth mom told us that she had picked us because we reminded her a lot of them. And that was really, really special. But yeah, from the very first moment, we have known birth parents and birth parents' families. So biological grandparents, biological aunts and uncles and siblings and cousins. And that has been so cool. It is so special. From the start of this, we have always said that it is so important to operate as if one day Electra is going to demand our phones and say, okay, I want to see every text message you've ever written to my birth mom or to my birth dad. And we will say, here you go.
Yeah.
That is so important to us. Same with this video. We always operate as if Electra is going to see everything we've ever said about her birth parents, because it is important. And we do place them on a pedestal. We value them so much, but it's important for her to know that. It's important for her to know that they are so important in our lives and they're so important to her. We want this, it's just family. It's just family like anyone else. That is the most important thing to us.
And it's been really sweet to see, like, I think it was, it might have been Christmas time, and Electra's birth dad had said, like, oh, is it okay if I bring a few people? We were like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We always do that. Any visit, we're like, it's your visit.
Right.
You can bring whomever you want.
Yeah. And his grandma had asked us, is it okay if Electra calls me grandma? And we said, well, yeah, because you are her grandma, and I think they sometimes they want to ask for permission, but when you explain to them, we're all in this together, and we're all one big family, suddenly it just opens these pathways where everybody can just be together. And it's been amazing to watch, like, every time we get together, the love and care that they all have for this kid, and she has so many family members now, and that's really the crux of open adoption, is there are just more people to love that kiddo.
Well, and I know that so many people are scared of that. That sounds so scary. It does, right? Like, even before we were matched and placed, I mean, it feels scary to open yourself up to a new people, a new family, and what do they want? And well, are they going to want to spend so much time with this child? And well, but this is my child now, or what, right? Like, I hear it. We heard it a lot in our educational courses with other prospective adoptive parents, and it is scary. And you just have to commit. You just have to open, because honestly, it's so much more rewarding for this child, so much more rewarding for your child. And what are you afraid of, right? It's like, what I mean, I also want to tell everyone that Electra's birth parents live 20 minutes away from us.
Yeah.
Which is wild, because we know that, we could have been placed with a child from many different places, many different states, and we were prepared for that. But no, these birth parents, they live 20 minutes from us.
Yeah.
And so we are physically close to. But from the moment we met them, that's never been a worry. We're not worried about any of this. We want closeness, and we want visits, and we want time spent. And we know that will always change, like you said, Amanda, as their lives change. Who knows what each of their lives will look like. And that will change our lives in a way, and Electra's life in a way too.
Guys, it's so refreshing just to hear how genuine you are about this. Like, you can immediately tell that your daughter is the focus of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, people may assume that that's how all families are, but sometimes when people talk about their fears, a lot of it is about themselves and how they may feel and some of the uncomfortableness that may come about with open adoption, because it can happen at times. It is a little bit nerve-wracking, and, you know, especially at the beginning. But to hear you guys always go back to how excited you are for your daughter, that she has all this love and this family, and every move you make, every discussion you have is all about her, is just wonderful to hear, because that's what this is all about. Yeah. And I appreciate that you guys have gratitude for the fact that you can have this wonderful open relationship, and your hope is that it will stay that way. And I know that your experience and your stories will help others who may be still cautious, right? Maybe still feeling a little like, okay, I get it. They have this great situation. I want that, but it's still nerve-wracking. Like, what is that going to feel like? Just handing over my phone number, or knowing that I live 20 minutes away from the biological parent of my child, right? It is nerve-wracking. It's okay to feel that way. But what I'm getting from you is that you should have an open heart and go knowing that, like, good can come of this if you allow for good to come in.
For sure.
And I mentioned, like, you know, giving permission earlier, and I feel like us being very open.
Wait, permission what?
Just in general, like with birth parents saying, you know, can I bring my great aunt? We're like, yeah, of course. Yeah. But also, I think as adoptive parents, the more open we are gives our birth parents the permission to accept that or not. Mm-hmm. And in our experience, we've been really open, and they have accepted that and said, yeah, this is great. Like, we text them pictures.
Yeah, we text them all the time.
Yeah. Every week, you know, we're sending them pictures, and it's so fun and interesting to see their responses.
They'll be like, oh, she looks so much like me in this photo, or like, she looks so much like me in this photo, or like,
but knowing
it's so cute.
Them, in knowing them, we can see them in our daughter. Yeah. You know, we can see, oh my gosh, her hair is starting to get curly. That's just like her birth dad. Like, you start to see the aspect of them, and they see that too. And we can all share in that together and say, wow, look how amazing this kid is. You know, to your point of it, it all comes back to the child.
Knowing and loving them helps us to know and love her more.
Right.
Well, couldn't have said it better than that, guys. And appreciate you. And I'm so happy to hear that you have this beautiful open adoption going on. Yeah. I just hope it continues to grow stronger. Thank you for being you. Your daughter has, you know, a really beautiful village of people around her that love her, and I'm excited for you. So thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
These videos really do help folks who just want to hear it directly from people who have been in it. And we value you sharing your story. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Continue to tune in, guys. And thank you to our community for continuing to share all of their wonderful stories.